I definitely believe it's the best FromSoft game. Don't know if it's my favorite, but at the same time, it could be my favorite game, period. So I finally crawled out of the cave I've been hiding in and playing Elden Ring for over 100 hours.
Sheesh.
And I'm here to tell you my review.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I've put a bow on it for now at 100 hours and 30 minutes, like right around there. Not exactly.
27 minutes and 37 seconds.
That's it.
That's it. I've been actually hiding behind you.
Watching
the entire time.
I know.
Yeah, no, you didn't. I saw you pick your nose.
But I'm proud to say I beat every major boss in the game. There may have been some dungeon ones that if I happened upon them now, I would one-shot. But I beat what they say is the hardest boss in the game. I may have been a little over-leveled. I don't know. What I was reading was up to level 200. She should give you a lot of trouble. But Melania, I'm going to avoid spoilers as much as I can. But I'm going to give my opinion of each one in terms of like how fun it was, how hard it was, and then the overall feeling of these bosses. As a whole, I don't understand all of the people that are acting like this is the hardest Souls game. And I think that's mostly because you have the option to, power level. And I wasn't like way above them most of the time, but I always felt like I had it under control. And to be clear, I did use like summons, the ashes. I never brought in like a cooperator or anything, but I used the summons. I didn't use the mimic tier, which was it wasn't broken when I started using it, but it's still the strongest summon in the game. I didn't use that until the last two main bosses, and I was pretty proud of that. I was using the regular ones until then. But yeah, like I'm a veteran of Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro. I haven't played Dark Souls 1. These are my badges. I didn't beat Sekiro. To me, that's the hardest one. I don't know how anyone could say this is harder.
I was going to follow up what you said and ask you which one you thought was the hardest, but I think Sekiro is the hardest for me.
I'm no good at parrying, so that's why
I'm no good at those games.
I'm a dodge roll guy. But I don't think they're the most difficult, but I do think they're the best designed. There's not really a mechanic in this game that like pissed me off. There's a couple times where you get to a boss and they keep running away from you, teleporting across the arena that is a mile wide. That's a little annoying, but I get it. Like, that's a balancing thing. It's supposed to be, you got to get projectiles thrown at you and dodge them, and they end up being fun once you learn them. Overall, not the hardest game ever or anything like that, but definitely the most satisfying when, because the boss designs are fantastic. Margit, most people know him, so it's not a spoiler. I loved that open world so much that I spent a lot of time in Limgrave just tearing it up. Just took out probably 15 bosses before I came across Margit.
This guy's a party animal. Just tearing it up. Painting the town red, huh?
So when I showed up at Margit, he was nothing. But that's not the game's fault. It's not like he's not a hard. I
struggled so much with him.
He's one of my favorite bosses in Souls history. Like, I love the design and his moveset and everything, but he wasn't hard for me. That's one thing I'll say about this game. Like, even when you wrecked them, like, you were way too powerful, it's still, you can enjoy the beauty of what they've designed. Sometimes it's just really short that you get to see it because you're too powerful. That's probably the biggest critique I have.
Personally, I don't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, good.
I'm never too fast.
Well, that's probably the biggest critique I have is that, it's unavoidable with an open world game. That's part of the design, is that you can do that. But I missed a little bit of Dark Souls 3 grind where you get stuck on a boss and you're like, I just got to get good. A lot of times I didn't really have to get good. If I put a cap on myself, like if I know what levels I'm supposed to be, then that'd be better. And I probably will at some point, follow a guide of I should be this level when I fought it.
Well, no, you beat the game.
I beat the game, but I want to get the full experience of how it was designed at what level.
Glutton for punishment.
I am. Because
it was too easy, so I want to go back and punish myself.
Well, there's people that beat it with a torch, so I can beat it at the right level.
Oh my God.
Dude, if I beat it, I don't care if I have to use everything.
Well, no, it still feels good. It definitely feels good. It still feels better than most games that aren't, like at all challenging. Like, it feels way better than that. But I think of Dark Souls 3, which is my first Souls game, and it was that feeling of, I'll never beat this guy. And then guess what? You just keep fighting him, and you beat that guy.
I've said that almost every boss that I've got to in Elden Ring so far. I've said that. I was like, I just don't think I'm going to beat this game.
That, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really got stuck until the final boss in this game. And that was because there's two phases. Spoiler, sorry. There's usually two phases on final bosses in these games.
That's like,
I walked first phase, fantastic. Loved it. Second phase, screw that. It was just annoying.
I walked through when you was doing this one, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll never beat this.
You got to get there first.
Yeah, right.
But no, I eventually I got his moveset down and beat that second phase, but it wasn't really fun. The first phase, though, awesome.
The way I understand it is you have to defeat these demigods to get the shards, and then that's the end game, is collecting all the shards and getting the ring.
No, that's what a lot of people would think. The shard, you got to have the shards. Yeah. You can beat that game with only, I think you can beat 2 of the shard bears and beat it if you avoid other ones. Like the shards, I don't know how I've got them all. I didn't do anything.
Really?
I don't know. I had to learn the lore better. It's about getting there, and then there's a few different options you have to get inside that final boss fight. And it would be a spoiler if I said what you have to do, but I didn't beat all of them before I beat the game.
Oh, wow.
The one I was talking about, the in-game boss, Melina, she's got one, and you definitely don't have to beat her.
This game more when I can just fast travel to these other locations and get back to where I was doing.
Fast travel's big because before you had to go to a bonfire in order to fast travel.
I thought that's how this was going to be, is I would have to go back to the side of grace just to go to a different one. And I was like,
they wanted to streamline it, and I'm glad they make these decisions.
I think it's a good decision.
Yeah. See, I'm such a Souls guy that I'm torn on these things, like these quality of life changes, because it's innately FromSoft to have some obtuse things in there. Right. I like that sometimes you get knocked off of this tiny little beam that you're walking on that you shouldn't have been able to get shot. Like other games wouldn't do that to you. Right. But I love that they do that to you, because then when you beat it, it's like, I went through all this, and there's something to be said about pain. How much better it makes other things feel. So that game inflicts pain on you so that the victory is fantastic.
This guy's crazy.
Yeah. And
no, I understand what you're saying. It's like, especially when you're platforming or moving around in the world on these From Software games. Like in other games, if I were to do that, I'm like, am I supposed to be here?
Right, yeah.
And in FromSoft games, just like, I can do it. I can do whatever.
I've been mulling around like, is this my favorite game of all time? And it brings up the question of, is it my favorite FromSoft game of all time?
Right.
And it's hard to compare them in a lot of ways, which is weird because it is very much Dark Souls.
Yeah.
But comparing it to the way that Dark Souls 3 made me feel, it's very different just because of that open world element. And I didn't have much fear in this game. There was moments certain enemies would spring on me, or I get in a sticky situation that I get scared. But Dark Souls, I was always like, I'd really have to walk in this door right now.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. It's like almost like a horror game, but there's such a skill aspect to it.
See, I think my favorite one is Bloodborne.
Yeah. That was your first one. I think there's a theme with that.
I think that's the same as Final Fantasy. I think whichever one you play first is kind of the one you cling to.
Yeah. I'm in a weird place where I definitely believe it's the best FromSoft game. Don't know if it's my favorite, but at the same time, it could be my favorite game, period, but not be my favorite FromSoft game. I don't know. I think it's like what I say about role-playing games. You can be better overall, but in that specific thing, you're not as good as something else. Yeah, it sounds dumb when I'm saying
Do you have you going to put a score on this?
Yeah, it's a 10, without a doubt. Okay. Any of the complaints I have are not strong enough to take down the majesty of this game. Like, it is just, they did so much. Like, there's so much content there, and none of it feels like just shoehorned in. Like, sure, there's some repeat bosses and stuff, but getting to them is worth it. And then the fight's fun, so I don't care. Like, put 2 of the pumpkin heads in there. It's still a fun fight.
Yeah.
And I would say I think after the second main boss, the Renala, is where I'm at. And I was thinking the same thing as you as far as score-wise and, like, just how much have I experienced to that point. There's been kind of flawless for me as far as
even
everything I've, like, gameplay and bosses, and I think it's all been perfect.
For a game that's so inherently attacking you, I have no problem just continuing to play that game. Like, I never, like, I could just play that game for 8 hours straight, and I don't feel, like, tired at the end of it, like I did with other FromSoft games. Like, I'm just happy to be in that world for some reason.
So even me, as someone who this game is not my type of game, but I can definitely see how this would be a 10 out of 10 game of the year. I mean, for what little I play with it with you guys, makes it so much more fun to play it with you. It takes the stress out of me. I hate stressful games. So playing these games that are inherently stressful with friends, it makes it more fun. And it's like, I'll try to kill this thing. I don't care. If I die in front of them, then, it's funny. We'll laugh at it or something. What other games coming out this year do you think will come close?
Honestly, if any game comes out and beats Elden Ring, then this is my favorite year in games ever. Like, it's that good to me. God of War 2 is about the only thing.
Yeah.
If it
was my pick. I think Like
Yeah.
it being the end of this Norse story they've started adds a lot to me because it's not just the middle game in a trilogy now.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to go big. I think that game has to go big to finish out that storyline.
Yes,
So
and
I
I-
think,
Yeah.
but I think that's the only one that really has like I'm that excited for that has a chance.
Yeah, and I don't think that this game or that God of War 2, the God of War iteration that we're on, I don't think it needs 3 games. With the way storytelling has developed and the way they made Kratos in the first one, you don't need 3 games to tell his arc.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it in 2.
Well, it can lead into whatever thing he's going to do next. I think it's just
Yeah.
not going to be Norse anymore. I believe they're going to go somewhere else. Like these games are going to be super profitable for a long time.
I mean, if they keep making them, you never know.
They're going to keep making them.
I don't know. They could switch. You know,
I mean, they could, but I just don't see why.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to bastardize the. I mean, yes.
Well, they made 4 Uncharted. They can make 4 God of Wars, and I'll be fine with that.
Well, yeah, but Uncharted is not the same caliber as God of War.
I don't
The
know.
new one. No,
It was.
No, listen. I love Uncharted. I love Nolan North. I love everything about Nathan Drake. I love the treasure hunting. But you are not going to tell me the story is on this. It's like an action film next to a drama.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the same.
But I mean, that's like saying its success is going to keep it from getting more.
No. Its success is definitely going to they're going to make another one, but I don't want that to happen. As a fan, I don't want another one.
I think they've already laid the seeds with all the different religions and stuff
Yeah,
on the
reference
walls
to
of
other ones.
Egypt, and I think they did like Native American kind of. I think
Yeah.
that was some
Yeah.
of the stuff that was in it. I'm not sure. I know Chinese
That'd be
lore
cool.
was on the wall,
I
so
like that.
I think they're definitely planting the seeds for more.
Yeah.
And I'll be excited as long as they keep the quality that they're at. I'm
Yes.
excited to keep.
Well, see,
playing
that's
it.
my
That's the
thought.
thing. Are they going to be able to keep the quality and keep going higher? Because you can't just stay the same.
That's
You
what I
have
was
to
gonna
keep
say.
going higher.
I mean, for me, you can just stay the same. It won't beat Elden Ring for me, even though like God of War 1 is a 10 to me.
Yeah.
Like, and I think
Oh,
God
yeah.
of War 2 will be a 10 if it's just the same. But it won't be. I don't know. A sequel takes a lot. Like it needs to be like Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be that kind of improvement for it to jump to me, because that's what Elden Ring did. It took the formula and it boosted it
But
to
it
the
made
next
it-
level.
it is
As
Elden.
far as other games that could come out this year, oh well, Starfield is definitely in the conversation.
It could
Yeah.
be, yes.
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
not my type of role playing game. I don't care about the more realistic.
I just wish it was
space
more
stuff.
fantastical.
Yeah,
which
I'd
we don't
rather
know
see-
that it's not, but it's
they
leaning
s-
in the way that it's
I mean,
not.
there's some screenshot or some concept art that maybe looks like it could be.
I wanted it to be more Mass Effect than it looks.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want it to be more fantastical space, more sci-fi instead of more fiction. You know what I mean?
I wanted it to be Outer Worlds,
Or
but made
science,
by
I mean.
Bethesda. Honestly,
Yeah.
Outer Worlds has so much good about it, but they just didn't have the money to make
I
it as
didn't-
pristine as Bethesda.
I didn't play out.
Well, you need to play Outer
I
Worlds.
didn't finish Outer Worlds, but
I mean, at least we're getting Outer Worlds 2, so that'll be a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. Redfall don't look like it.
no, Redfall's not going to touch.
Gotham Knights won't touch.
No.
Which-
Suicide Squad would have been in that conversation.
It's already been delayed, haven't
Yeah, yeah.
Spring.
they? Yeah. So the only 2 that I could see even coming close to Elden Ring is God of War 2 and Starfield.
Unless they do a Super Mario Odyssey 2 surprise release
That
in
would-
November.
Have a chance. And then I don't know how I would ever compare the 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Hey, this
yeah.
is a thing you signed up for. You have to compare the games.